Announcing the commencement of the first purge.
I want you to change the world, and don't think that this is going to happen peacefully or you can do it alone. We need to kill the rich. You get out there, you use your weapons, and you rip Washington apart. You hunt down the billionaires, the bank bosses, the CEOs, the scumbags, and the liars, the governors, the lobbyists, the senators, because they're all the same, and you hang them.
Just remember all the good the purge does.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, really. Will be by the time this is up. It's December 14th, 2018. How many days do we have left? I think 16, 17 of this year. Well, if you ask any center of the world person, a real center of the world person, about a particular politician or politics in general, they will cringe because they're going to say something like, well, I think they're pretty much all the same, and I can't really distinguish any difference, at least no meaningful difference between the two. And people just don't want to hear that shit, right? People don't want to hear that their guy is the same as the other guy. Well, hot tea, man, I love it. You know, I haven't gotten a ray of sunshine in seems like a week or maybe more. It's really starting to get to me. I'm really sun-oriented kind of a person. If I don't see the sun, I'm miserable. But anyway, here at SHTF Plan, I'm not going to read these two articles to you guys. I'm sure you're all smart enough to do that for yourself, but the titles in themselves speak volumes. Ideological blindness on the right and left. And isn't this true? Isn't everyone blinded by their own ideologies except for those who have none? Then, of course, the next one down is Democrats are drooling with glee over two new legal developments that they believe could end the Trump presidency. And the author, Michael Schneider, in his little summary, he says, let's hope that the Democrats do not decide to pursue impeachment, because that would only create even more division in a country that is already greatly divided. I read a lot of old stuff, you know, Lost Book of Inky, this kind of thing. And one thing I've seen, kind of a revolving situation, or what would be the right word for it? Well, situation will suit for now, but these divisions, they go so far back. I mean, they really go back to our beginnings as a species, or as a civilized species. And if you notice around you, you look around you, I think we are defining civilization all wrong, because I don't find anything all that civilized about the way we live. What? Because we have shelter and heat and air conditioner, and we have wheels with motors that take us places. That makes us more civilized, or civilized at all? Or should civilization be defined by the way we treat each other? I mean, the word civil is in there, isn't it? But it looks like Trump is not going to make a 4-year term. It looks like Trump is going to be sunk. And I don't care either way. You know, I don't. I don't give a shit about this guy. I don't give a shit about any of them. That's the thing about the middle of the road people. We don't fucking care about what dicksucker or what asshole is up in the White House. We don't care which communist is in Congress. And by the way, Congress, progress. So Congress is there to stop progress. It's the opposite. And I agree that there was probably very, very little collusion with Russia, if any, right? But you know who Donald Trump did collude with? He colluded with the Israelis. I am sure that there is a crime in there somewhere in his dealings with the Israelis. But in America today, we are governed by literally millions of laws, rules, and regulations. And that's another thing. Middle of the road people cringe when we hear about a new law being made. It's just another thing, you know, another thing that they can use to destroy you. That's what these laws are meant to do. If they decide to put their thumb on your head and fuck you, man, are you fucked. And believe me, when I tell you, I know because I've been fucked by the state many times. I mean, we have cops here, both city and county, that are criminals in their own right. I mean, they're drug addicts, they're alcoholics, they go home and beat their wives up. There's one deputy that had to be suspended because he beat his wife up, and yet he still has his job. Middle of the road people cringe at the idea of some asshole running around, driving around with a gun looking for problems. I do, and I'm as middle as the road as it can get. But, you know, millions of laws, rules, and regulations, and nobody has more laws that they must follow than the president. Which I don't believe that, and if Michael Schneider believes that, I got some fucking swampland in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean to sell him. If anyone in this world can get away with breaking the rules, it's the president. It's Congress. It's the Senate. It's the Attorney Generals. It's all of them. So if the deep state really wants to get the resident out of the White House, there are lots of ways they can do it. And I do believe the Israeli connection will be the nail in Donald Trump's coffin. And I don't mean, okay, let me rephrase that. Will be the nail in Donald Trump's presidential political coffin. Because I don't want anyone to think that I'm threatening this faggot on the screen, because I'm not. So one of the first developments is a potential violation of campaign finance laws. In August, Michael Cohen pled guilty to arranging payments to two women at the direction of Donald Trump. A $130,000 payment was made through a shell company, and that by itself should be illegal. Making payments through shell companies, and that payment was made to old Stormy Slut Daniels. And the second was a $150,000 payment, and it was made to a former Playboy slut, Karen McDougal, through American Media Inc. So he didn't just come right out and pay these bitches. He committed crimes to pay them. So shouldn't he be held accountable, Republicans, you people on the right, if he's committed crimes? I mean, I do. I have to be held accountable for possessing my own fucking prescriptions. Yeah. Name on the bottle, have a long history of being prescribed, but somehow, because I have my dose for the day sitting on my counter, I'm charged with distribution of this shit. And have the fucking book thrown at me. Fortunately for me, I'm a quick thinker and I dodged the book. And I'll be honest with you. I've always been very good at dodging these books. But that doesn't make it right that it can be done to me in the first place, especially when you have people like Donald Trump and company, you know, Jeffrey Epstein, the Clintons, committing horrific crimes against not just the people of outside this country, but all of us inside of it. And that payment to Karen McDougal was made through American Media Inc., which is the parent company of the National Enquirer. It was ruled that these payments were made for the principal purpose of influencing the elections. So, yeah, that's a crime. I'm not crazy about the word crime, okay? I think, you know, most of the millions or thousands or whatever it is, because nobody really knows how many laws, rules, and regulations we have, only maybe 1% of them, maybe, is actually necessary. Now, just imagine you have a society with no real government structure. You have a little bit of services that's funded through the want for those services, right? And let's say you get a company like Monsanto, and it's discovered that Monsanto is polluting the food sources, the planet, with their genetically modified garbage. Let's say we find out that, oh, it's killing off bees, you know, these little creatures we need to pollinate our plants. Do you think that that fucking corporation would be protected at that point? If there were no government there to protect them? Do you think that perhaps, just maybe, there would be actual justice in this world without these fucking scumbag government officials cramming all their bullshit down our throat? I'm thinking probably, you know, it would be a lot better and a lot more justice. Just think, you don't have a government to protect these pedophiles snatching little kids off the streets. Now, I don't care about the government, and I will act the exact same with or without the government. If I see somebody taking a child off the street, I'm going to chase them down, and I'm going to do everything I can to end their life. Because that is the right thing to do. So, Schneider says that he's skeptical that these hush money payments constitute campaign expenses. Well, it really depends on whether they were taken out of campaign funds or out of his personal bank account. If they were taken out of his campaign funds, then yes, they would be campaign expenses. Come on, man, where's your logic? It's just like this whole glass half full bullshit, right? Somebody asked me this, and I asked them back, well, did somebody drink from the glass, or was it filled to that point? Because it matters. If you fill it up to the halfway mark, then the glass is half empty, or half full. Sorry. And if you drink from the glass, then the glass is half empty. But, you know, I could only hope that this happens to Donald Trump just simply because I don't like government. Has nothing to do with the individual. Has nothing to do with his perversions. It has nothing to do with his crimes. It's just that I don't like government. I don't like motherfuckers like this guy who's been bankrupt many times, who's committed many crimes, some of which are against children, telling me how to live my motherfucking life. Telling me what substances I may or may not ingest. But, if you want it done, you want it done right, you just ask an anarchist. Because government does nothing right. Take this for example. Government failed to provide... Well, what the fuck is this? Oh, there we go. Government, or as government failed to provide, anarchists stepped in to help fire refugees living in a Walmart parking lot. This comes from Matt Argust. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That's me right there, anarchist. The default sentiment among those who cannot think outside of the government is that people in need will starve if the government doesn't step in to help them. Well, governments do provide necessary aid some of the time. The reality is that under nearly every government in the world, people starve while their rulers use their tax dollars to gorge themselves on gourmet dinners and live lavish lifestyles. And look, I'm not against living a nice life. Before I got busted, I wouldn't say my life was great, but it didn't suck nearly as bad as it does now. I have no more money. All of our savings got drained. I have about $2,000 worth of gold, about $1,000 or maybe $2,000 in silver, and some firearms scattered here and there. We lost a lot. We lost our home. We lost our dog, which we just got back 2 years later. And this dog was highly trained. It's a trained attack dog. I trained this dog. It took me 2.5 years to train him right. He's about 150 pounds. Comes almost up to my waist. He is a vicious fucking dog. We lost everything because of these petty laws and rules set for everyone else to follow but the ruling class. I went into that because of this lavish lifestyle here. And look, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me because, you know, I chose to go against the government and I paid for it and I'm paying for it. Okay? But here's the thing. It shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that. And people like to claim that the state is necessary or a necessary evil. You know, this is a really terrible mindset. You're saying, essentially, that evil is necessary. Is it really necessary? Is it necessary that we have politicians, high-ranking military officials, NGOs, hell, agencies that are supposed to help children? Is it necessary that these places exist? You know, their actions of stealing children and then selling them into sex slavery and sometimes worse, Is that really necessary? Is it necessary? I don't think so. I think that we would get along just fine without these parasites. I think that accepting any sort of evil, any amount of it, is opening the door for more. And that's what we got, right? You know, back in the day, people thought, oh, it's just a little bit of infringements on our rights, and it just kept getting accepted, and today here we are, essentially roaming around in a giant open air free range prison. I mean, prisons don't even have thousands of rules, regulations, and laws. Okay, let me start this one over here. When people claim that the state is necessary in order to provide charity, oftentimes they completely dismiss the fact that this charity is money taken, stolen from other people, and redistributed. While there is certainly a benefit to the recipient, handing out someone else's cash is hardly a noble feat. Just like being brave when you have the power of the state behind you is hardly being brave. In reality, government charity is not charity at all. It is a bureaucracy that demands something in return, forces compliance, and is purely conditional. Conditional on your behavior. Think about it. Millions of people give to actual charities all over the world. Checks pour into places like the March of Dimes, which many of these places abuse that money, and St. Jude's. This is why if I feel charitable, and I do, I mean, if somebody comes up to me at, say, Hardee's, this has happened a handful of times, it's, hey man, I have my family in the car, we're homeless and out of money, would you hook me up with some biscuits? I'll hook them up. I'll hook them up. Because it's the right thing to do. During my power outage, and this is the level of guilt I feel sometimes. During my power outage, we went up to the McDonald's. It was the only place open. So I got a coffee and a couple of apple pies and let my kids play on their little playground there. And there was a family in there doing the same thing, only they couldn't afford to eat. And I was flat broke. And I felt so shitty that I was sitting there eating while these people didn't have anything. I really did. But no one writes checks to the United States Welfare Department. No, they don't. I want to have say in who I'm supporting. Look, have you been to the welfare office lately? You got cars in there that are Cadillacs, Lincoln Navigators, Lexus. We're talking about some high-priced cars, and I feel like if these people can afford to buy these high-priced cars, pay the insurance on these cars, then probably they should probably be able to afford food, right? I mean, it seems reasonable. I mean, I have a F-150, not the most expensive truck in the world, but we're all still fed, and we don't get welfare. We don't get help from anybody. Now, occasionally, and I really appreciate it when it happens, occasionally I'll get a nice sum in my PayPal account from somebody on my channel. And that's really the only form of, I guess you could say, charity that we get. Or donation. We don't ask for anyone for anything. We do it ourselves. Okay, let me get back to... Alright. As Lawrence Reed notes, from start to finish, what private charities do is a manifestation of free will. And that's correct. It's free will, you know, me handing that person at Hardee's the $10 that I handed him. That was my free will giving it to him. No one is compelled to provide assistance. No one is coerced to pay for it. No one is required to accept it. All parties come together of their own individual volition, and that's the magic of it. The magic recently manifested in California after wildfires destroyed homes and left thousands on the street in the parent town of Paradise, which was utterly devastated when the Camp Fire swept through. And by the way, there's been many videos out there showing a blue beam coming from the sky and setting shit on fire. A Walmart, which was already known for a place to give goods to those in need, became the site of that magic. And I'm really surprised Walmart didn't come out there and stomp that shit out. I really am. This case of citizens voluntarily coming together without government to help those in need is particularly ironic, as the individuals who carried out this charity were anarchists. See, people have this image of, and the word is abused often. Anarchy. Anarchy is self-rule. That's it. It's not people running around shooting each other. It's not people committing rape or acts of violence. It's simply self-rule, and there's nothing wrong with being an anarchist. Jesus was the first anarchist. And a lot of people think that because I say I'm not a Christian, they think that I don't believe in Jesus. Well, this is not true. I do believe in Jesus. I just don't believe him as you do. So they were anarchists. The Walmart in Paradise became a hub for some of the 50,000 residents who lost their homes in the wildfire. Those in need set up tents in the parking lot, and Walmart actually encouraged it in the beginning. The place soon became known as Camp Wallywood. This comes from Vice.com. As the people in the lot worked to adjust their sudden change in circumstances, they were helped by, among other groups, a loose organization called North Valley Mutual Aid. Based on the principle of solidarity, not charity, mutual aid is a process of providing assistance to communities by working with and supporting them based on their needs, rather than from a top-down hierarchical approach to aid. The principle meant that when a Paradise evacuee named Tammy expressed a need for a community space, NVMA's Cleanup and Rebuild Working Group helped build one in the parking lot. 2 large beige tents were set up side by side with pillows, chairs, books, and some other items inside made up a communal space. A cardboard sign is taped outside reading, come get warm. For Tammy, this was important for recovering from the collective trauma of the fire. And, of course, the government has a completely different approach to this aid. They steal the resources from everyone else to give to people, and many times who don't even need it. This is the problem, one of the problems with government. And and here's the thing about the parties. Each of these parties are there drawing you in closer to government, while individuals like myself say no. No, you need to run away from government as fast as you can. As fast as you can. You need to shed the skin of government before it destroys you. Look around you. Look around you. Tell me, is this place not being destroyed? Are the people of this country not being destroyed? And this goes way back to the beginnings of civilization. People, for around 10,000 years, since the first pyramid wars, people have clung to these fucking control freaks as if they can do anything to make the world a better place, when all they do is make it a fucking hell on earth. I don't know if I'm going to do another video today. I'll be honest with you. I'm feeling a little bit down. I didn't get any of the jobs I applied for. Christmas is 2 weeks away, and it sucks. So, if I see something else, though, I imagine I will probably run my big ass mouth about it. I mean, after all, that's all I have, is my big ass mouth. So, I might as well use it. Hope everyone has a good day, though. And remember, kill the state before the state kills you.